Dallas-Fort Worth. This is North Texas in Focus. This show takes a closer look at issues and concerns around the Metroplex. We bring you the show on 88.1 Indy and 881indy.com.
Hi, I'm Matthew Reyna. This is North Texas in Focus. We're taking a step back from politics and policy this week and zooming into Amarillo for a conversation about an award-winning PBS documentary. The film Kid Candidate was released to a limited audience last year at the South by Southwest Music Festival. Kid Candidate made its television debut last month on World Channel as part of its excellent America Reframed series. Kid Candidate follows Hayden Pedigo, a popular then 24-year-old musician who launches a long-shot bid for an Amarillo City Council seat. The documentary follows Pedigo through all of the trials and tribulations that come with being a young person seeking political power. It includes interviews with all of the major local political players in Amarillo. World Channel was an independent television station, often distributed by the local PBS affiliate. In DFW, World Channel is distributed by KERA and can be found on digital channel 13.4. If you've ever been to my house, you know I keep World Channel on constantly, like an old ceiling fan. It's basically the background noise to my house. With that small insight into my personal life, I'd like to introduce today's guest, Hayden Pedigo. In addition to being the star and subject of Kid Candidate, Pedigo is a popular musician whose work has been covered in Texas Monthly, NPR, and Rolling Stone magazine. I started my conversation with Pedigo by asking him to set the scene of the documentary for those who haven't yet watched it.
So I guess the quick version of the story is I'm from Amarillo, Texas, was born and raised there. And the documentary Kid Candidate tells the story of when I was 24 years old, still living in Amarillo. I made a fake satirical campaign video stating that I was running for Amarillo City Council. And it was very comical. It was shot on a fake VHS camera. And it was just me throwing a chair and doing a bunch of nonsensical things. And the next day after I put that fake campaign video up on Facebook, the local news reported that I was running for city council. So through this one joke video, it started off a journey of me wondering, well, what would happen if I did run for Amarillo City Council in a serious way? And the documentary Kid Candidate, directed by Jasmine Stodel, was her following me with a camera crew the whole campaign, basically showing a 24-year-old who has no idea how to run for public office, running for office in real time, profiling that whole journey.
And that seems like such a brilliant idea in retrospect, to have a documentary crew filming that kind of campaign. I wonder this, when it actually became a real campaign, I know one thing that would worry me in that kind of thing is being that young, maybe having some kind of imposter syndrome. Am I supposed to be here? Did you have any of that kind of anxiety about your campaign?
In a huge way, yeah. That's one of the big parts of the movie that at the time I hated, but now I'm glad about it, is you see me screw up and look like a fool in real time in the movie, because there's parts where I have no clue what I'm doing. I stumble, I struggle through speeches. And I think it's important for people to see that, because I think our idea of a politician is like this perfect person that knows exactly what to say. And that's why people think politicians are liars. They always have this sheen of perfection. They always say what people want to hear. And I think it's refreshing for people to see someone stumble and struggle and, see someone running for public office who screws up and says, I'm new to this, I'm trying to figure it out. So that's a big part of the movie.
The one thing that I think in my mind will always stop me from running for public office is door knocking. The concept of door knocking just sounds awful to me, going up to random people, not knowing what they're doing and talking about yourself to them. And in the movie, it seems like you also don't like door knocking. Tell me about getting over some of those fears and, doing something like that to put your name out there.
So that is one of the funny parts in the movie, is I won't spoil all of it, but there's a scene where I attempt to try door knocking for the first time ever, which, to make matters worse, a camera crew was following me. So walking up to people's houses, knocking their door when there's an obvious camera crew, made things very uncomfortable. In the film, after I think 3 or 4 houses, you see me have kind of a mild breakdown, because I'm trying to tell the director, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel natural doing this. And I felt phony. That was a big thing, is I felt like a phony. So that's like a thing you see a lot in the movie, is like, I started to realize that being a quote political candidate, there's a lot of things that felt disingenuous, that I didn't feel genuine doing it. And that's why I struggled so much with door knocking. So that was kind of one of the interesting aspects of running.
And I think almost any millennial or person from Gen Z that got involved with politics would feel phony door knocking. It just feels like the kind of thing that people in our generation wouldn't like. So I guess what I would ask next is for young people that are interested, that want to get involved in politics, that maybe watch your documentary and, you know, think they could see themselves feeling uncomfortable in some of those situations. What advice would you have for them?
Well, I would tell them definitely to watch the movie or rewatch the movie and really focus on the parts where I embarrass myself. And the reason why it's important to see that is if you run, you will at some point embarrass yourself and feel stupid and not do things 100% correctly. And that's a huge aspect the younger generation, I think, needs to be aware of, is that the fear of looking foolish should not keep you from doing it. And that doesn't mean to go into it in an ignorant way, not trying to learn. Obviously, in the film, I'm trying to learn. And obviously, I had a lot of pretty core beliefs about Amarillo, even trying to find a way to reform Amarillo's at-large elections to single-member districts, which was obviously a huge problem that affects my hometown. So if you have things that you're passionate about that you want to change in your city, running for city council can be a good way to try doing that. Because even if you don't win, it still gives you a platform to speak about those issues. And even for me, that election ended in 2019. But I'm still able to talk about these things, even though I don't even live in Amarillo anymore, which I think is really important. But in short, young people should be willing to look dumb while trying something new if it means that you're making a change for something good.
I wonder after that experience if you're still active in politics or if you plan one day to be active in politics again.
So the election ended in Amarillo in 2019, and out of the 4 people that ran, I came in second. Sorry if I spoiled the movie. We can cut that out. But a quick Google search would tell that. But the way I feel about getting involved in politics again is right now I'm living in Lubbock, which is 2 hours away from Amarillo. And the reason why is because my wife is finishing grad school at Texas Tech. So when I was running for city council, my wife was offered basically a scholarship to get her master's at Texas Tech, and she had to turn it down because I was running for public office. After I lost, she asked if she could apply again. And because my wife has like sacrificed so much for me, I was like, yeah, apply again. So she got it. We moved to Lubbock right in the middle of COVID. So there was a whole lot of reasons to jump into politics. For one, because I was in a new city that I just moved to, and COVID was going on. So I didn't want to just start running for city council in every town I moved to. But I don't like whenever people ask me if I'd be open to running again one day, I think it's a possibility, but even rewatching the film, I think one of the hardest lessons to learn is like running for public office is tough. Like it knocks you down pretty hard, and I'm very proud of the experience, but I can't say right now if it's something I would do again.
I don't know how much you keep up with politics on the national level, but we did in this last election see a 25-year-old, the first Gen Z congressman get elected. And, you know, that's built on the backs of, I've seen, 20 somethings across the country running. I wonder if you had any thoughts on that.
I think that's incredible. I mean, that's pretty mind blowing. And it kind of makes me feel even worse because I lost it for city council at 25. So to win at that level is mind blowing. So that's a pretty incredible thing. Also shows that young people are definitely getting involved in a huge way. If a 25-year-old is able to win at that level, that's pretty mind blowing.
I know the documentary was shown at the South by Southwest Film Festival. It's been replaying almost every day down here in San Antonio on KLRN, our local PBS station. Just thoughts on the process as a whole. You didn't win, but you came in second place out of 4, and you had this awesome documentary made about the experience. So just like some final thoughts on the whole experience.
My takeaways from it are getting the film shown through America Reframed, World Channel, PBS has been amazing because I finally feel like it's getting the audience that it needs. I feel like people are finally seeing this movie. And like I said, I'm glad that the issues that are talked about in the film with Amarillo are still being talked about all these years later. So it's like, I really hope with this movie that it will continue to grow, more people will see it, and that it can still possibly make a change in Amarillo. And I hope a lot of young people see it and maybe attempt to run in the future. So I'm hoping the film will have a life of its own well beyond my campaign.
Well, Hayden Pedigo, thank you so much for joining the program today.
Thanks for having me.
You're listening to North Texas in Focus on 88.1 Indy or 881indy.com. If you have something you'd like to hear addressed on a future show or any questions, you can send email to info@881indy.com. That's info@881indy.com.
That was Hayden Pedigo, the full-time musician and part-time politician whose campaign to become an Amarillo City Councilman was chronicled in the World Channel documentary Kid Candidate. If you're interested in watching Kid Candidate after hearing our conversation, the full movie is now available on the World Channel website, worldchannel.org. I'd like to thank Hayden Pedigo for joining me today and wish him the best of luck in all his future endeavors. That's it for today's program. For KNTU's North Texas in Focus, I'm Matthew Reyna.
This has been North Texas in Focus on 88.1 Indy and 881indy.com. If you have questions or information to share with us, you can send email to info@881indy.com. Thanks for listening.